Okay, class. Today we're going to talk about independent and dependent variables. Make sure you're going to take your notes and pause when I tell you to. I'm going to be checking these notes later on. It's very important that each and every one of you take these notes and keep them on you. Okay? Don't lose them. Don't throw them away. Don't leave them in the classroom. These are your notes. You need to be responsible for them. Okay, so an independent variable changes independently. Hence the name. And usually if it's in a graph or chart, it's the x value. A dependent variable changes in response to the independent variable. In other words, it is dependent on the independent variable. And it's usually represented by a y value. These x and y values are going to make more sense whenever we get to the end of these notes. Okay? So let's look at an example. Go ahead and pause your video first and get this written down. Okay, now let's look at an example. Deanna, let's see, and write this example down also. Deanna babysits for several hours after school. How much money does she earn? Okay? Now, looking at this statement and the question, we're not mentioning anything in here about actual money values. It's not telling you how many hours she's working. It's not even telling you how much money she makes per hour. These are going to be variables. And our variables are the number of hours worked, and we're going to represent that with an H, and the amount of money earned. We're going to call that M. And that's all I want to know, or what are the variables? A lot of you are too occupied with knowing the final answer. You want just a single answer with these problems. We're getting into a lot of algebra now, and you're not going to have that. A lot of this stuff's going to be a lot more vague on what it wants from you. It's not going to want just a single number. It may want something like this right here. It may just want to know the variables. the number of hours worked, H, and the amount of money earned, which we're going to call M. Okay? Look what we're asking for and just give us that. It may not be something that you're used to. You may be used to giving the answer of being 10 or 58 or 612. But now that we're doing a lot more of equations and algebraic expressions, that's not the answers we're looking for. We may be just looking for a statement. Okay? Math not just all about the numbers anymore. Okay? So, hopefully you've written this down. M is going to be our dependent. Why? It's because she is paid by how much she works. Okay? The amount of money that she earns is dependent on how much she works, right? So that means H is independent. So if Deanna works, let's say she gets paid $7 an hour. If she works 1 hour, she gets paid $7. If she works 3 hours, she gets paid $21. M, which is how much money she's earning, is dependent on the number of hours she's worked. So that is why H is the independent and M is the dependent. Okay? Go ahead and write that down. Pause if you need to get the rest of this. Okay? Dependent and independent variables can be represented by graphs and tables. Okay? Now, several of y'all should be familiar with the tables. Okay? You've seen some of these problems already written. This is called an in and out table. I've mentioned that phrase to some of you. Some of you may not have. Some of you may have forgotten I've said that. Okay? So this is our X. This is our Y. And I said a little bit earlier, right up here, independent variable are X values, dependent are Y values. Okay? So we have X and Y. Now if X, let's say X is 1, 2, and 3. Y will be 5, 10, and 15. So what I want you to do is tell me what the equation is going to look like here. I'll do this one for you. Okay? So X is 1, Y is 5. X is 2, Y is 10, X is 3, Y is 15. So if you notice, it's going up by a multiple of 5 every time. So Y equals 5x. This is our equation that gets us this answers. So if we plug 1 in to this right here, so we're doing substitutions. So 5 times 1 is going to give us 5 for y, and that's what that is. Here's our 2. 2 is replaced with the x. 5 times 2 gives us 10. Same thing with the 3. 3 times 5 gives us 15. This is our independent variable. This keeps on changing. This is dependent because we can't find out y until we know what x is. We need to know what x is, and then we can find y out. Okay? Now, your tables could also be written this way right here. This one was vertical. You can also have a horizontal one. This time, let's let y equal 7x. So if y is 7x, x is 1, we're going to substitute. 1 times 7 is 7. 2 times 7 is 14. My next number I have here is 4. All works just the same way. So 4 times 7 is what? 28. Okay? So these are tables. We can also do this with a graph. Okay? I know you guys know how to plot points on a graph. And the axes are still the same. This is still the x-axis, and this is the y-axis. Okay? Y is your dependent. X is your independent. So let's say this is 1, 2, and 3. We'll call this one 10, 20, and 30. For 1, I'm going to plot this point, 2, this point, 3, this point. Okay? So if x is 1, y is 10. X is 2, y is 20. X is 3, y is 30. So if you could, go ahead and see if you can figure out what our equation is going to be. The equation is y equals 10x. Okay? These three equations are called proportional equations because they all go up the same distance. This is going up in increments of 5. This one is going up in increments of 7. And this one in 10. you could also have an equation like this right here. Y equals x plus 3. So if we had a table where y equals x plus 3, if x equals 1, what's y going to equal? 4. If x equals 3, y is going to equal 6. Y is 8. X 10. Y 15. If you can, go ahead and fill out this graph the rest of the way. So, if y equaled 8, x had to equal 5, because 5 plus 3 equals 8. If x is 10, y is going to be 13. And if y is 15, x is going to equal 12, because 12 plus 3 equals 15. Okay? Hopefully you've written all your notes down. If there's something you didn't understand, go back through them again. There's going to be a second video with a couple more problems for you to work on. Make sure you write those problems down also. And again, I'm going to check this stuff to make sure you have written it down and that you're keeping it. So keep hold of everything that I'm giving you guys. I need you to make sure you're taking your notes and taking the notes seriously, and make sure you're putting the notes in a place where you can easily access them. Okay? Y'all have a good day.